Hey, everyone in Facebook world. Hopefully I'm live. It says I'm live. I'm just checking in the Facebook to see if I can see it. Oh, yep, there I am. So hi, everyone. I'm Dorcy Pruter, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute, and I will be coming live here in our private alliance to solve parental alienation every Friday at 2 o'clock. Today I was going to talk about something different, but I decided that some news came out about Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and she had published, or an article was published about her stating that 3 of her children wanted to testify. And so I posted this morning pretty early, and it's had a lot of press or a lot of comments in there. And so I thought I would go live today to talk about kids testifying in court. So if you aren't familiar with StreamYard, you have to click on the button in the live stream. And I think it says StreamYard on Facebook. If you click on that, it'll allow you to come in and it'll push your name up on the on the screen, and will allow you to ask some questions. I can also bring you into the live and we can have a chat. So if somebody would like to chat with me live about their opinion about whether or not children should testify in court, I'd love to have a discussion. But right now, since I don't see anybody in here, by the way, this is my first time using StreamYard, so it seems pretty cool. Looks like it's working. I don't know that much about it other than I can bring other people in to speak with me, and I can see comments over here. So if you don't put your information, if you don't click and allow yourself to comment through StreamYard, I don't know who's commenting. So over here, somebody said hello and miss you. Hello, miss you too, maybe. I don't know who that is. And then somebody else said hello. So hello, welcome to the Facebook Live. I'm Dorcy Pruter, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute. And hi, Dawn. And I am coming to you live every Friday at 2 o'clock. I'll be bringing you tips and strategies that you can implement right away to start reuniting with your alienated children. I'll be bringing new and cool things that we're working on. And then today, I actually want to talk to you guys about what happens or whether or not children should testify in family court and what happens when they do. So, Christina, hi. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and start talking about it. And then if anybody wants to jump in the live chat with me and have a conversation, I would love that. You have to actually log in through StreamYard. So you'll have to click on the link where it says StreamYard to use Facebook so that you can jump in. And I think you have to raise your hand, or I might have to invite you. I'm not really exactly sure how it works. So I'll try to figure it out. If I don't, I apologize, and we'll figure it out for next time. So an article came out this morning about Angelina and Brad Pitt. There's a big, obviously, family law case. It's been going on for over 5 years. Originally, the case started with Angelina making an allegation of abuse against Brad. And they went through what a lot of you have gone through, which is a allegation of abuse. The child, or the children in this case, stopped seeing the parent. So in this case, it was Brad. And a long time, a couple years went by before they allowed Brad to have unsupervised parenting time. So the allegations were discovered to be false, and they moved him to unsupervised. And recently, the court finally ruled on the parenting, and they have shared parenting. So 50-50 shared parenting. Took them 5 years to decide, which is ridiculous. And anyways, they don't have shared parenting. And unfortunately, so much time has gone by. The oldest child in the Jolie Pitt case has aged out, and there's only 5 children left. And an article came out this morning about Angelina stating that 3 of those children wanted to testify in court. And So I posted this morning saying, that's not appropriate. And there's been a lot of back and forth on that. So a lot of people saying, I wish my kids would have testified. A lot of targeted parents saying, my kid testified against me, or if my child had testified against me, they're older now. They had made some other things, false allegations, maybe talk to the mental health provider or the lawyers, things that guardian had lied to him and things like that. So Don said to allow Dorcy to see your comments. Oh, thank you, Don. That's so sweet. Got to click on the StreamYard. I really appreciate that. Don, the rock star in technology, the bane of my existence. So here's my opinion. It's an opinion. Everybody has one. And I've been working with alienated families for a very, very long time. Taylor, hi, sweetie. And Taylor, come in through StreamYard. I'd love to have you on the live chat to talk about being involved in the family law case and what that actually is like. So here's my opinion. Kids should never testify in court. Kids should not testify in family law cases because it is too much for the child, and it's also putting the child squarely in the middle. So when parents get divorced, it's the parents, right, that are getting divorced. It's not the parent and the child, it's the parents. So when parents get divorced, they need to work their stuff out. But we all know in this family dynamic, sometimes one or two parents are pathogenic and they can't seem to work their stuff out, right? They pull the child into the middle, and the child becomes triangulated into the spousal conflict. In alienation, where we're really dealing with pathogenic parenting, this really places the child in an uncompromising position, because the child is now placed in a position to have to tell the court what they want, if you will, but we never really know who's influencing the child. And the truth is, kids don't want to be involved. They love their parents, even when one or both parents are nutter butter. So, or dealing with pathology. They want the parents, or they want the professionals working with the parents to figure it out. And so somebody said in the chat earlier that, that her children wanted to tell the court what they wanted, or wanted to tell the court what was going on. And that may seem like a good idea, but I want you guys to think about, what if it was you? The child was saying, never mind, I don't want to live with you. I only want to live with my other parent. And I want to decide when I get to talk to you or not talk to you, or when I get to see you or not see you. And if we're placing that on a child, think about that. If you're on the receiving end of that, you're not going to want that to happen. If you're the one saying, well, that's what they want, and they're choosing you, seems like a good idea, but it's not, because the child is placed in a position to have to eliminate half of who they are, right? So you may not like the other parent. You may be in conflict with the other parent. You may feel like they're a terrible parent. You may not agree with the way that they parent, all of those things. But all of those things, half of who your child is the other parent. They love that parent, even if the other parent is abusive. Okay. I know that's controversial, and people want to say they're abusive and they should never see the child. We've got to protect the child. Yes, we protect all abused children all the time, but we don't eliminate parents. Okay. So if a parent is being abusive, we protect the child, and then we rehabilitate the parent. Okay. And we reintegrate the child with the parent in a controlled environment, and hopefully move to a shared parenting arrangement. Now, if you don't agree with that, then that's certainly your prerogative. However, the long-term consequences of kids eliminating a parent from their life impacts every area of their life, not just the relationship they have with the parent that's been cut off, but also the relationships they have with everyone for the rest of their life. And pathogenic parents are challenging, right? Children who have to deal with pathogenic parents, those parents are challenging. And at the same time, what they really want is that parent to be better, right? So if a parent is abusive, they want the abuse to stop. And if you talk to anybody who's worked in child protective services, who deal with foster care kids, who deal with cases of abuse, they'll tell you time and time and time again that kids will ally with their abusive parent. They will lie about the abuse, right? They will protect an abusive parent because they love that parent. And they just want that parent to stop abusing them. They're usually afraid too, right? So they're not going to say things. So when kids say, I want to go to court and all these things, kids aren't haughty and arrogant towards their a physically or psychologically abusive parent, right? When that's happening, right, the child is actually doing what the other parent wants. Either that parent is what is the word? Implying, so implicit messaging or explicit messaging, but there's messaging coming. They're trying to please this other parent. And the child may argue with you, no, this is what I want. I want to do this. This is what I'm doing. This is my voice, but it isn't. This is not what children truthfully want. What they really want is their parents to figure their shit out. That's what they want. They want their parents to grow up and act like parents so they can be kids. And kids want this at any age. Okay, Taylor said she would love to come on. And then she said, pathogenic parents are challenging. True. Very thankful that I didn't have to testify in court, even though I was getting pushed to do so. She was. And I did, however, write letters and did regret even doing that. Lots of pressure, guilt, and unconscious abuse that came from one parent. Taylor, did you figure out, are you in live stream? And Dawn, do you know how I can pop her in from the live stream? Oh, look how cute she is. Let's see. Sorry, figuring technology out here on the Facebook Live. Whoop, whoop. Taylor, I'd love for you to pop on here and have a discussion with me. I also like to have cheers and have a glass of wine I see in your hand. Let's see. I don't know how to do this. Oh, maybe. Oh, here we go. Invite. Let me send this to you, Taylor, in Messenger, and see if you can pop in this live. That would be super cool if I actually just figured out something cool. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. Oh, I think I figured it out. Okay. Taylor, I just sent you a message to add you to the live. And Donna, I'm going to send one to you too, because I'd love, if you're still here, I'd love for you to pop into the live and weigh in on this conversation. So I'm going to send you a message as well. Give me 1 second. All right, back to the live. Cool. So I just, she will come in below and you can add her to the broadcast. Okay, cool. Awesome. So back to the topic. I can't wait for Taylor to come on here. Taylor is a adult child. I worked with her dad and also worked with Taylor, and she's an amazing kid and a young adult, but kid. And I'd love for her to come on and share a little bit about her experience with you guys. So what a treat and what a surprise. Yay. So anyways, back to kids testifying in court. I've worked on thousands of cases, worked with so many kids, and even really severely alienated kids who think, you know, this is what I want and I want to do that. And much like what Taylor said, you know, they think that they want to do these things and they think that they're helping out. And in the end, they have immense guilt and regret from making the decisions and doing the things that they did. And even if they feel very strongly about how they feel about their parent, their brains aren't fully developed, right? So they're making decisions that impact them for the rest of their life. And they don't want to do that, right? They want to be able to have a relationship with both parents. They just want their parents to figure it out. They want to have a positive relationship and they'll accept the relationship. Sometimes kids will take a break. And I'm talking about young adults, not necessarily minors. if the child is a minor, we need to do everything that we can as a professional community and also as parents to ensure that the child has a relationship with both parents. And if a child is rejecting a parent, then we have to work with that child to help them learn the skills to be in relationship with both parents. So we don't want to put a child in a position where they have to go in front of an authority figure and tell them something negative about the other parent, or that they don't want to be in relationship, or they don't want to live with this other parent, and that they should have a voice. There are certain things that children should have a voice in their life, and it should not be things that change the trajectory of their life forever. Okay. Oh, I see Taylor and I see Dawn. Hi, ladies. All right. So let me see if I can get them in. Okay. I'm going to add Taylor. Let me add Taylor first, and then Dawn, I'll pop you in a second. So Taylor, I think you have to unmute your mic. Hi! Yay! Hello! How are you, beautiful girl?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's so good to see you. I was just thinking about you the other day. I think about you a lot, but I was like literally specifically thinking about you the other day. I was sitting at the desk and I'm like, I got to call Taylor.
That's funny.
How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. You look lovely, glowing as usual. So what do you have to say? What do you have to say to parents about kids testifying in court or being pressured to testify, even if it's passive?
Yeah. Well, if you were to ask me 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. Kids should testify in court because kids do have a voice. But then I found out real quick, especially after working with you and then being involved with the court with one of my parents, it's tough. And now I think the exact opposite, because I wish I wasn't involved at all, and I wish I didn't hear anything. Mm-hmm. I wish that I was like completely separate, and I wish my sister was completely separate, but we weren't. We were very much involved. So yeah, I don't like it. I think it's wrong, and especially because I was being fed a lot of information from one side and one pathogenic parent. Both my parents are pathogenic, but I was just being fed like a lot of information, and who knows if it was even right. So I was just hearing one side, and I assume, the majority of kids, if they're, spending a lot of time with one parent, they're only going to hear negative things and not accurate things and just one perspective. So yes. So, if kids were to testify, they're going to go up there and they're going to give not their own voice, but they're going to give the parent's voice, because that's the goal. That was my parents' goal, and having me come in and write letters and everything, that was his goal. And I realized that afterwards, and it just came with a lot of guilt and anger and just something that I had to work through personally, because that was what I put out there. So yeah.
Excellent. Not excellent, but thank you. Very precisely and brilliantly shared. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I don't know what's going on now. So let me ask, how are things going now? What's going on with your family?
It's better. So I stopped talking to my mom for like a year and a half. We just, didn't speak at all, which was really tough. But then I got into contact with her, as you know, with the help of you, and kind of started down that path. I make the effort to go see her a few times, spend some quality time with her, and we're now in contact fully. So I see her.
Oh, you're going to make me cry.
I see her a lot, so I talk to her. There's still obviously things that have not been said, but we did have it out once. But I think it was good for both of us to get everything out there, and just say our perspective, because I didn't really understand where she was coming from with a lot of things. And I know she does love me, but I felt very unloved for a while from her. So I think it was really good just to hear, that she cared and she did miss me. So we're in contact now. Things have been going pretty good. We're still building and, trying to get to like a better place.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
And dad, you still have a relationship with dad?
And dad, yep, still have a relationship with him. He is very persistent.
He is.
He is.
Yeah.
He likes to know. Trying to set and keep boundaries with him is difficult. So that's what I've been like trying to keep working on with him, because he keeps crossing those boundaries of trying to get information out of me about my mom and my sister and, the relationships that I have with them, even though they are completely separate. So it's been tough, but we're good. We're good. Yeah.
So let me just say this: if you guys are watching, for the people that are watching and the people that will watch later, one of the things that Taylor interned with me for a little while. She also did a high road with me. She actually ran media at a high road, so she got to watch me recover a family. And she, when her dad actually was working with me, and when I got the pleasure to actually connect in with Taylor, I always have a belief that children should have a relationship with both parents. And she was cut off from her mom, and she has a sister who's cut off from her dad. And the dad had actually hired us to help him reunite with the younger sister. And I was like, as soon as I saw the data, I was like, oh, we got to get Taylor back with her mom too. We have a complete split family dynamic. And, I waded into that gently with Taylor. I didn't pounce on her like, Taylor, yeah, and I waded in with her. I got to coach Taylor one-on-one, which if everybody knows, I don't really coach that much anymore because I have to run my business and I'm training people. I'm doing a lot of stuff, but if there's a kid that I get to work with, I'm always a yes. I'm like, yes, bring me the child. And so I got to actually work with Taylor, and we worked through Higher Purpose Mastery, which wasn't about, well, it is. It's always about childhood stuff, but it's a totally separate thing. And it's very similar to those of you that have done Higher Purpose Parenting, but it's really for everyone. And I got to wade into Taylor's story with Taylor and her experience. And I didn't push her until it was time to push her. And then I pulled her a little bit when it was time to pull her, and then just really hold that container for her. And the magic happened. She actually connected with her mom. So I haven't talked to Taylor in a while, so I wasn't really sure where things were at. I had a feeling if something had gone totally south, she would have reached out. And so what a delight, and well done. And Taylor has two challenging parents. So I think for those of you that are on the top, I'm like, sometimes one or both, what do we do? Oh, Taylor, your parents are annoying, get rid of them. No, it's like, Taylor, here's how you can be in relationship with both of your parents, dealing with their pathology and their childhood experiences and whatever it is that they have going on. And so the truth is, Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, you love your parents. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. And you want your parents to love you. Yes? Yeah. Yes. And sometimes they don't do a very good job showing you that, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it helpful when you really learned like their style, like the way that they give and receive love, like understanding what their love language was and even yours, so that you could communicate that?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. They show love in very different ways. So yeah.
Yeah. And even though they poke at each other, because they do, I know your parents, how they are, you've lifted yourself out of that, right? You're like, okay, I can see this, they'll poke, but it sounds like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're not getting hijacked into it anymore. It's the noise, but it's just noise. It's not about you. That's their stuff.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. And it's cool because I can like feel that too. So I see it from kind of like a higher level, which is nice.
If they could have done one thing differently, what do you think that would have been for you as the child? And I want you to think about from the targeted parent's perspective, because that's really who's here. And we also have pathogenic parents here who are targeted and also just pathogenic. So I want you to think about like the audience that we have here. We have thousands of people that come into this group and that will watch this. If you had one message for all of the parents, pathogenic or not, whatever it is, what would you tell them from a child's perspective that would help them be a better parent or divorce better? What's the one thing you could share with them right now?
Oh my gosh. Probably just leave the kid out as much as possible. Like they don't need to hear anything. They shouldn't hear anything about what's going on with you, the hardships, the divorce, the money, the finance, like everything. I heard everything. Things that like I shouldn't have heard, things that were inappropriate to hear, things that like are still in my mind because it's kind of traumatic. And I wish I wouldn't have heard any of that because it stains a relationship with each of my parents. And I have just underlying things that I have to like work through and try and, I feel like I have to like keep forgiving because there's so many things. And I always question, like, is this true or is this not true? Is this like
that's a great question.
That they just kind of put in my head? And because, if I were to ask one parent, they would be just like, that's absolutely not true. It was their fault or something like that. So I wish all the noise was just blocked out and I wish I could just, have my own life. But instead I felt like I was kind of like the caretaker, like the middle ground of like, oh, I have to make sure that my dad's okay. I have to make sure that like, because my sister wasn't talking to him at the time. So I had to make sure that like he was sane and I was like supporting him, but I shouldn't have been that. Like, I'm not his therapist. Your kids are not your therapists at all. They're not here for you to like, take a garbage bag. They're not going to hold the garbage bag open for you to like dump things in.
They should be doing that for you. The parent should be doing that for you.
Yes.
Right. You're parenting up.
Yeah. Yep. So just keep the kids out of it. Let them have fun. They shouldn't have to hear everything.
Yeah. Very well said. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep you here because I'm going to see if I can pop Dawn into the stream too. Dawn there she is. You have to unmute. Dawn is also, so we are all three formerly alienated kids because Dawn was also alienated, and all of us have a little bit of a different perspective, but we're all three alienated kids. So hi, Dawn. It's so good to see you.
It's
Dawn, this is Taylor. Taylor, this is Dawn.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
I know it's been a while. So, so the topic, obviously we started this with, should kids testify? And it really spills into, should kids really be involved in the family law case? And should they have a voice? And, and when does a child have a voice? And in what circumstances do kids have a voice? And what circumstances should they not have a voice? It's a very controversial topic, only because people in this space like to fight. But my opinion is, if you actually act like parents, and if you, even in conflict or if there's abuse and all of those things, if you're as a parent, you rise up and say, I'm the parent and I'm going to make the decisions. And if I can't get the co-parent to co-parent, I'm going to figure out how to make that happen through the professional community. But I'm going to let my children be children. Right? I'm going to let them have a childhood that doesn't involve making decisions that impact them. I mean, they should make decisions like, are you going to play Little League, or are you going to be in, an acting class, or you're going to be on the swim team? They should be making decisions about things that kids should be involved in, but not things about what could change their life forever. So what say you, Dawn? What say you?
Well, I agree 100% that they should just stick to the parenting and, do better at that, because we've all had different situations, like you said. And in my case, my parents were like 10-year-olds. They really didn't have any real good previous experience or examples that would give them a good foundation to be good parents. So I've learned along the way that they had their own previous trauma, their own childhood trauma that just kind of reciprocated and just kept going and going. And I can take that back all the way to my great-great-grandmother. So It was really interesting to work on the epigenetics of this. And it gave me the ability to have compassion for my mother, who I was very angry at for what she did to me as a child and what she did to my father. And I almost couldn't forgive her. I was really struggling hard with, how could you do this to me? How could you, put me through all of this? And I was really having a hard time just being able to say, okay. So I had to dig in, work on myself. It started with me at first. And I always say too, and I like what Taylor said, it's a constant forgiveness, because you find something else out. It doesn't just end because all of a sudden, like, oh, wow, I was alienated. No, there's so much that we have to analyze. We have to filter through everything. Was this true? Then if this was true, then this must have been true. So we have to like put it all into some kind of perspective that we can manage and be comfortable with. And then we can begin the process of forgiving. But we can't forgive if we don't know all that we need to know. So we're constantly finding out as we go through all of this new stuff. And then we have to start all over again. But it does get easier. And
it does.
It does get easier. But you also have to look past your parent and find out, why are they acting in the way that they were acting? They didn't have a good role model. They didn't have a parent that loved them or nurtured them. And then their parent wasn't good at loving or nurturing them because she was only 14 when she had them. So it's just a big, long, transgenerational pile of heat.
And we're all linked.
It stops with us.
Yes,
we are now stopping it and acknowledging it and putting things correct, putting things right.
I really feel like the transgenerational trauma, because it threads through all of us. And I saw an image a while ago about how it's usually on the mother side too, or through the women in the family, you grow your grandchildren if you have girls. So because we're born with all of our eggs, right? And I was like, whoa. That's true. Like my mom carried me and my girls, and I carried my girls and whatever children they have, and so on and so forth. And when you think about that, it's like, oh, snap. So me as a little microcosm inside of my mom was in my grandmother when all of her trauma was going on. And it keeps imprinting, forward. And it can be less and less. It may not have happened to you as a child, but it may be something happened to your mom or your grandmother, your great grandmother. Like you said, you followed the family tree back, and that's very woo. That's what we teach. I mean, Taylor will tell you in Higher Purpose Mastery, we like dig in, and sometimes it's like, I have an intuitive hit, and it's like woo, and she's like, holy crap, what just happened? It's just true. But it's the truth of all of us, and if we think about it, we're all really connected. And, we attract our relationships to heal our own, childhood traumas. And we have our children to heal the family lineage, right? To heal our traumas, our micro and macro traumas. We actually have children to wake us up, but most of us don't wake up, right? We don't want to. And so we get into the conflict, and, this family court is where we see trauma play out time and time and time again, because we're traumatized, right? Or parents are traumatized. And pathogenic parents, just like you're viewing your mom, they're just, adult abused children who had children who have unresolved childhood trauma, right? And so they're acting like they're triggered into their childhood trauma, and they're just acting like children. And the same thing with the chosen parent, the targeted parent, how some people, I like to call targeted parents chosen parents. You and I have talked about this, and I believe they're the parent that's chosen to really lift the family out of the family dynamic and to do the work to what's necessary, do the necessary work to recover the family trauma, right? To end it in this generation. And then I feel like we have the bridge children. I'm a bridge. Dawn, you're a bridge. Taylor's clearly a bridge. We're the bridge children that are, when we were younger, always trying to fix everything. We were trying to fix our parents' stuff, and we're trying to bridge everybody, bridge the whole family, maybe the extended family or whoever's getting out in the split. We're always trying to bridge them back in, right? So the bridge in the family is really the one coming in to say, okay, the buck really does stop here. The shit ends, right? I'm going to end this for our family forever. And so that brings us back to the initial part of this, which is like, kids testifying in court. Can you imagine, for Taylor, and she was heading down that path, and I was like, let me figure out how I can work some magic around in the back room so that this doesn't actually happen to this child, and I had influence in this family, clearly. And I was like, no, this is not going to happen. And however I'm going to make this magic happen in the back room, I'm going to make it happen, because the devastation, I could already see the devastation in this child who I, was working with writing the letters and the things that she was doing. And instead of saying, this is bad, or your dad is bad, or I was helping her learn how to think for herself authentically. Like, let's apply some critical thinking. Let's discover where the authenticity is of Taylor, and what does that look like for Taylor, right? And so instead of me saying to Taylor, and she could correct you don't have to agree with me, Taylor. I could say, Taylor, you're not doing this, and here's why, right? Or I could help her think critically. And I think that's where we come full circle here, is for the parents who are like, no, I think children should testify. Think about how you could help your child who says they want to testify to really find their authenticity. Are they really saying they want to testify for themselves, or are they really saying they want to testify for you? Unless it's hard. Like, it's hard to have that real conversation with yourself.
I want to say something about all of that, because I want parents to think, if you're the parent that wants your child to testify, would you want the child to testify if it were the other way around?
Right.
So you're putting a child in a position that is an impossible position. The child is going to be traumatized by this event, and they're going to resent the fact that they had to go through that event. And the damage that's being done is not very parently of the parents to treat their children that way. So parents, they're looking for validation. And they're using the love bond for that. They're manipulating their child into, you're going to testify for me, and they're happy about it. But why would they be happy about it? They should never be happy at the fact that your child has to go up on the stand and talk to the judge and say things that make them uncomfortable. That's not a place that a child should ever be. And I often think that when I see these things going on in the courtrooms, where's the advocate for the child? There needs to be an advocate, somebody there that speaks for and on behalf of the child, not the parent, where the child's looking at him out of the corner of their eyes going, I better say this right, or I'm going to get it when I get home.
That's a great point.
There's punitive damages, right?
Yeah. and then the scary thing is how many advocates for the children don't actually speak for an authentic child, but speak for the voice of the alienated child, right? The child who's emotionally cut off, right? So we're going to just use Taylor as an example since she's here. What if Taylor had a guardian ad litem, right? And the guardian ad litem is interviewing Taylor, and the guardian ad litem has unresolved childhood trauma. And the guardian ad litem says, oh yeah, Taylor, I see that. And they believe Taylor's story, that the mom is all bad. And listen, I know this family dynamic. I know Taylor's situation. Her mom wasn't a perfect parent. She did some things that weren't great. She was a worse spouse, and so was dad. Like, their spousal relation, they were toxic to each other. And what if so Taylor would justify going in because she knew things about her mom to be true that were true. Okay, it didn't have anything to do with Taylor, but she knew things about her mom that were true. And then Taylor goes writing into the guardian or the advocate, and she says, this is what's happening with my mom. She did all these things. I'm really mad. And the advocate says, yeah, I agree with you, Taylor. You need to do therapy. So then she goes to therapy, and the therapist says, well, mom, did you do? Yeah. Okay, well, you need to apologize. And she apologizes. But Taylor's mad now. She's anchored into the story. And so mom apologizes, but nobody's really helping Taylor understand Taylor's contribution, right? How she's in this relationship with her parents. And so then mom apologizes to Taylor, but that's not good enough, right? Because Taylor's still angry and she's still holding on to stuff for her dad. And so she's like, yeah, but I'm still not going to spend time with you. And I don't think my sister should you're a terrible person, right? What you did was terrible. I'm still angry at you. You ruined our family. I only have this perspective, but it's mine now. And it's maybe not even perspective, as it's dad's opinion, what he shared with Taylor. It's now her perspective. And so now Taylor, the guardian goes into the court and says, hey, listen, man, I worked with Taylor. I'm advocating for her. She went to therapist. The therapist agrees with Taylor. Mom's apologized, but you know what? Taylor still doesn't want to spend time with mom. My hands are tied. What am I to do? Oh, well, don't worry. Divorce is hard on the kids. They'll come around someday. Taylor will figure it out. Goodbye. And the judge says, yeah, okay, well, that's what Taylor wants. Taylor didn't go to court, but she went to all the mental health providers and the lawyers and everybody involved in the case. And she blah, 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 blah to all of them, which also happened in this case, right? She told lots of people lots of things. And, and then by the grace of God, she folded into my world. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, okay, well, what if that's true? Right? Okay. It's true. All right, that's true. Now what? Right? And does that mean that you don't want to see your mom forever? Right? And how does that apply to you? How did that impact you? Where did you actually come into play? And helping her see her role, not in what was going on up here, but what she was actually doing, coached, not coached, conscious, it doesn't matter. Like, where are you in here? And how does what your mom did, how does this thing actually apply to you? And helping her think about that, and not just in a call, because was homework hard, Taylor?
Very. It was very challenging. Yeah, it was eye-opening though, especially the part where you just said, where does this apply to me? How does this apply to me? Well, The majority of it didn't. It really didn't. It was my parents' stuff, but they were all like, kind of pushing it on me. And so I felt like it was all mine. Like I felt like the weight of all of their struggles and their problems, their issues was just like on me. And that's tough. And I can see it. I can see it in kids, and I can still see it in my sister who hasn't gone through this process of understanding how to process emotions effectively. And so you just see kind of this kid like running around. She's 19, by the way. So you see this kid running around kind of just like not knowing how to deal with things that come at her, not knowing how to deal with my mom's emotions when she's, struggling with something, and then not knowing how to deal with my dad, who can be a little bit crazy. He can. So it's just like, she doesn't know where to fit, and she's confused. And, I couldn't imagine a younger kid having to go through this experience and be put on, testifying in court, and not knowing how to process these emotions. And they're not even their own emotions. It's like the mom's emotions or the dad's emotions. And so they're just feeling all of these things, and they're probably angry, confused, hurt. And I couldn't imagine, scared, absolutely. And I couldn't imagine somebody asking them their opinion on anything. They'd be just like, well, I don't know. My mom said this an hour ago, so maybe that's how I feel right now. But you just don't know. And I think it's sad to have kids be put in that position.
It really
is. I think kids wear emotions it's like Velcro. They have their emotions, but then they have mom's emotions and dad's emotions and grandma's emotions and all these emotions, and they can't tell whose is whose anymore. Right. And it's really hard. It makes me think of The Incredibles when Mr. Incredible was running through that tunnel and all those black things were just, that's what I think of when we do this to children, that they're just getting inundated with all of this black sludge that they just don't know what to do with.
Exactly. Leave them out. Let them have their authenticity in their childhood, to do the things that they love, and to be able to love both parents, and to be able to receive the love from both parents, and to teach them what the child's love language is. What does that look like for the child? I want to circle back to something you said, Dawn, because I do agree that the kids need to have an advocate. The problem is that most people that are in that role are incredibly incompetent. They're uneducated in how to actually determine what's going on. So they're listening to the child, which is oftentimes the voice of one or the other, or both, sometimes of the parents. And so,
or the attorneys,
or the attorneys,
or the caseworkers, or too much.
There's too many. There's so many people, too many hands in the pot, and they don't understand what's going on. And I think parents go into the family court system blindly. They don't realize when they sign on the dotted line that they're actually saying to the judge, I'm giving you jurisdiction of my family. What I'm saying is I don't know how to do anything. And I think the greatest tragedy or travesty for families is not educating them from the beginning. Like, listen, it's your family. Figure it out on your own. You don't need to go into the family court system. And I know that people will say that's pie in the sky, pathogenic parents, blah, blah, blah.
Not necessarily.
I agree with you. Though.
What if someone says, let's let the judge decide? You really need to take a step back and look at your situation. Because if you're saying, I want the judge to tell us what to do, that is, I mean, you
never know. It's a crapshoot. Yeah.
Well, it's personal. Yeah, it's like biases too. It's everybody's personal bias onto the situation. And who knows, what about their previous experience if the judge had a previous experience where the mom was alienating the child from the dad, and then he sees, maybe a similar scenario, but not quite,
And
they're never consistent. Never
right,
consistent.
exactly. And so, the judge probably already has in their mind just this bias of mothers that alienate, kids, and what happens then? The same outcome.
Right.
They're deciding to probably give.
Or they get a bias on the one that's emotional. But let me tell you something. I tell you, if someone was trying to keep me from seeing my children, I'm going to be hyper emotional. I am going to, because Mama Bear is going to come out, and I'm going to come out with teeth. Yeah. And I want to protect the relationship I have with my children. I think that's where parents are. So when you go into court and they say, well, you're overly emotional, I think they think that shouldn't happen, but that's exactly who we are as parents. We're there to protect our family. So you are going to have people that are really sensitive and emotional because you're dealing with two different types of people.
Right. Well, you're also dealing with parents who are now under the parenting microscope, right? And so now parents, you just bat an eyelash to the left, and they're like, "What just happened?" Right? It's like you just did something wrong, and then if they're dealing with the pathology and the kids are on high alert, the kids are like, "What did you do? What are you doing?" And I got to report to somebody, and there's so many interlopers.
Or kindergarten, I'm going to tell.
Yeah, that's what happens. And when kids end up in the courtroom, and listen, I don't want to just talk about the courtroom. I'm talking about kids being involved in the decision making of parenting time and parenting decisions that they shouldn't be involved in, whether it's in the courtroom, whether it's in the guardian ad litem's office, whether it's in the minor's counsel. There are so many interlopers that have no idea what they're doing and what really needs to happen for the family. They don't look at the evidence. They haven't looked at the family history. Maybe they're just barely scratching the surface. They're listening to what mom says and then what dad says, and now the kids, and they're trying to sort things out on he said, she said. It's like,
and the funny is that children's word is as gold. Like that's exactly, but children have different perspectives.
Of course,
and that's why they don't make these decisions, because if you're going to allow a child to say, I don't want to ever see mom or dad again, are you going to let that child tell you, I'm not going to school today. I want to smoke a joint today. I decided I'm going to pick up drinking. I'm going over to my friend. Are you going to break down all of the rules now? Because that's what you're allowing to happen just by giving them that say in the courtroom.
Well, where do you draw the line? And I always say to people too, like, listen, if you empower a child to ignore a court order or to ignore the parenting of the other parent, you're in essence telling the child the law doesn't apply to you. You're actually creating psychopathology in a child because you're wiring the child's brain to believe that they are over empowered, that they are somehow in charge of everything. And these families come to me all the time. The parent who's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with my kid now. And it's like, yeah, well, you created that kid. Like you were the one who said, this parent did all these bad things. It was, but it's not okay over here. And it's like, well, wait a second. Where do you draw this? A slippery slope, right? Where do you draw the line? And
it's a myth that children will overcome this. They'll get back to you. They'll find you. They'll know what to do. All of that is a myth.
All of that is it. They may. They will sometimes find you,
but it's a myth.
But they're going to be, yeah, there's all of this stuff that they have to work out in order to make that happen. I can assure you that Taylor would probably not be talking to her mom right now. I don't know for sure, but I with about 99% certainty could assure you that she wouldn't be speaking to her mom right now, and that she wouldn't be able to speak in her authentic voice and have a breach in her relationship with her mom. She said, we had it out with each other, and she wouldn't have been able to breach that even bigger and not come back to repair it. She's learned how to, I can have a breach, but I need to repair, breach, repair, breach, repair. And, had she not learned that,
for her to have.
Yeah, it's a good skill for all of us to have, right? That she learned that. Wish I had that when I was in my early 20s. It's like, I had no idea, right? So, and I don't know. I mean, she may have figured a way back to her mom, but probably not, because I know her story.
No way. Yeah. I was so adamant on keeping that relationship. Well, not even having a relationship at all. I didn't want anything to do with her. I was so even if she tried to text me, I was blocking her. I couldn't. I didn't want a relationship with her at all. I was so mad and so confused and just really hurt. So there was no way.
Yeah. So, and just, I want to point out here for people who are watching this, I haven't talked to Taylor in several months. She's learned the skills. She's implementing. She's living her life. She's not running, Dorcy, let me tap into Dorcy. I need her to fix things for me. That's not how I operate. My philosophy is, let me teach everybody how to live a happy, healthy, self-actualized life. This is your life. These are the skills. You either use them or you don't. And I made a comment to somebody you chose in this thread with Angelina Jolie, you chose to have children with somebody that you claim is pathogenic. I don't know them, so I'm not going to claim it, but I'm going to trust that that's the case. So you chose to have the children with them. You chose to divorce them, or they divorced you, but those are your decisions. So you, as the chosen parent, as the parent who's aware of what's going on, you need to elevate your parenting skills. And, she said, that's very bold for you to say that to me. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a bold person, and this is my Facebook group. And, yes, you need to get better parenting skills. You need to be ninja. I'm sorry that you married somebody and had a bunch of kids with them, or one, or whatever, with somebody who's pathogenic. I did too. Okay. So I'm not sitting here in judgment of you. It required me to elevate my parenting at ninja level. I couldn't just be normal range. I had to be ninja range, right? You got to raise your parenting skills to be able to parent with somebody. You're really parenting that other person too. You've got to raise your skills. You're teaching them. So if you teach your child how to be in relationship with the other parent, they're actually, you're being ninja with your kid, that they can actually teach the other parent without saying to the other parent, today I'm going to teach you some skills. They just start being different, and the mirroring neurons, emotions are contagious. They start shifting how they're showing up. It only takes the one person. And this is a beautiful example. When I say that, people get confused, but that is what I'm talking about. I'm not judging how people are parenting, and I'm not judging you that you chose to have children and you're getting divorced and you're with a pathogen and all of those things. That's just life. Shit happens. And if you have the awareness, then you have the responsibility, or you can reframe it and say gift, to be able to become ninja, to be able to raise your skill set to a level that you get to be ninja, that it's so stealth and so ninja that you're empowering your children. And that is where the magic happens. That's where the child says, I'm going to do this. I'm going to test this, right? I know Taylor, so I know she's testing what I've taught her time and time again. And she's like, oh, well, that actually did work.
I love that. I think it's beautiful to have an empowering child come out of divorce, because that is not normal in what we know, as far as, Dorcy and I being older and then not have, I didn't.
Hey there, watch it. I'm only 28 this year.
I know, I'm 29. But the fact is that we didn't have this kind of opportunity and conversation. So we had to kind of like figure it out, where now we can help bring children out of it with some empowerment. And I think that's beautiful. And I really love Taylor's story. I think that is awesome.
She's a great kid. Young woman. Yeah. They're all kids to me.
Right?
She's precious. Yeah. It's really, really powerful. And I hope everybody watching this now and watching it later, you listen to what Taylor had to say, what Dawn had to say. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. I always have something to say. But all three of us are formerly alienated kids. We're all three reunited with our parents, and Taylor is the voice of the next generation. I mean, Taylor is if you guys want to know who's carrying the legacy forward, just look right in the middle of this screen right here at Taylor. This is what we have to look forward to. This is the next generation, my friends. Taylor is the voice. She's the one who's going to be speaking to your kids. They're going to find her. They're going to find her. They see her. She's been in the Alliance stealthily, posting every once in a while. I see everything that's going on. I see you. And, she's giving advice, and you should listen to her. She's a smart young woman, and she is the authentic child, the authenticity of the child. She's the voice that we need to hear. She's the voice of the child. She's the one saying, hey, I mean, we all are, but I'm talking about our kids now. She's the one saying, hey, listen, keep your kids out of it. Let them be kids. She's still very young. She's a child in many, many ways. Her brain, sorry, Taylor, is still developing. She isn't at the magical age where her brain is fully developed. And the truth is all of our brains are developing, but most of it happens in the first 25 years of life. And she's learning these skills now, and she is implementing, she's testing and implementing. And I can't even imagine what's going to continue to come out of the Taylor and the Taylors of the world. It's just magic. So I really appreciate you guys jumping on here. It's hard to talk in a Facebook Live. I mean, I could talk all day long and just spew whatever I believe, but it's so nice to have a conversation, and especially with you two lovely ladies. I really appreciate it. Let me just read the comments really quick. If you want to say something, I'm just going to read in case we want to.
I was just saying, you caught me on a Friday where it was like, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get ready for anything. I didn't have any scheduled meetings. Here I am. Anyway.
Yeah. I like Friday afternoons because it's, the week is ending. I can kind of kick it old school. I got a little extra time. Yeah.
You said, come on in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I ran and grabbed a brush.
Lipstick. I'm always like, do I have lipstick on?
Right.
Usually later I'm like, oh, I have piece of pepper in my teeth. Nobody told me. We filmed some videos the other day, and my hair is obviously blonde, and I had on a dark shirt, and I did one take. So I'm like, these are great. And then I'm looking, and I have blonde hair floating on my. I'm like, seriously? My shirt was dark, so it was like
you're
neon.
probably the only one that'll notice it.
I'm like, oh my gosh, hair. All right, let me see if there's a couple comments here that maybe there's something. Let's see. This is the only way we could finally get protection. Of Roland from his mother, family prevent kidnapping. He now has constitutional protection from. Woo. Wait, did he testify? Is that what you're saying? I may have missed that. I remember my parents were getting divorced. I was a teenager. I didn't want to testify on them. I felt what you were talking about. Okay, both my parents were toxic, but I love both of them. Exactly. And maybe that's why I didn't feel the need to protect either one of them. Interesting. Okay. Actually, we ended up having to let Roland. Okay. So this is a case that I'm also involved in, or was involved in it before. Testify, mainly not against picking between his mom and his dad, but to say that he didn't want to stay with his grandparents. Okay. He wanted to stay with his father, not mother's family, as she wasn't there. And he chooses to live in Spain. I think that's she. So the mom moved away. This is an interesting situation. The mom, pathogenic, moved away, left the child. her parents are pretty toxic. They've been heavily involved. It's unfortunate. I also disagree. So Christina knows, Christina and I can disagree on stuff. So I disagree with allowing the child to testify. He's not that old, and it's a little bit different when it's a grandparent versus a parent, but still, when children are brought into that environment, they're placed in a environment to have to pick, right? And even though it's not mom and it's her family, it's still half of who he is. And so, you know, I hope that you fuel a relationship, even if it's in a supervised setting, that he gets to have time with his grandparents because he loves them too. You are so brave. I think that was for you, Taylor. This was the only way. Okay, I already read that. After almost 3 years of this, the adolescent has come to the chosen parent and shared all behaviors they are engaging in, even calling me when involved with the police friend situation more than once. Finally going to try enforcing parenting time through court. Unfortunately, attorneys want adolescents there to testify to her texts and prove she needs help. So interesting. That's a little clip of information. And so I'm not going to give advice specifically on a specific situation, other than I would really encourage you to figure out a way to assess the situation, use the data, and have your lawyer present the data without the child having to testify to that. And so we do that with the custody resolution method. We analyze data. We look at a whole data profile versus a little snippet. And I would really encourage you to either hire us or somebody to help you with the data and help you put your case together if you're going back to court, and keep the child out of it, because there is a negative consequence every single time. Dorcy, you were on our list of wishes in our motion to the courts. Yay, that's nice. The opposing attorney has already responded with a no because of no clinical title. Oh, she's only a high school graduate. That's their favorite thing to say about me. That's the favorite thing the flying monkeys say about me. If you are trying to figure that out, I would strongly encourage you to call us and figure out a way, because we hear about that all the time and we are involved in court cases all over the world. So if that's the case, opposing counsel is always going to oppose us or anybody trying to help. So I would just give us a call and we're happy to talk to you. Somebody said, hi, Taylor. Somebody said, thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Dorcy, Taylor, and Don. You're welcome. Thank you, Dorcy, Taylor, and Don. You're welcome. And let's see, the UNCRC means that state parties have to ascertain the child's wishes and feelings when courts make decisions about them. Do you think they know what impact that has on children? No. Is it something that needs to be addressed? Yes. So no, they're completely unconscious about what the impact that has on children, because if they knew, they wouldn't do it. And so no. And the child's wishes, if anybody hasn't looked at Dr. Childress's diagnostic indicator checklist, one of the associated clinical signs that is associated, and we see this in almost every single case we work on, is listen to the child, listen to the child's wishes. Pathogenic parents have a desire to make us listen to the child's wishes. I have to run, of course. Bye, sweetie. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much.
So lovely to see you. Bye, honey. Bye, Taylor, darling. I love her so much. Is she cute? She's so precious. And she said, thank you for giving the space to share my story. What an amazing kid, eh? I hope people watch this, and I just hope you see how powerful, these kids are and how important it is. If you don't listen to me or Dawn, I love Dawn too, but if you don't listen to either one of us, listen to Taylor. She's speaking the truth, the voice.
Yeah. Children, we hear all the time that say, oh, children are resilient, they'll get through it, but they don't get through it unless they are given the right tools. So yes. Taylor is an example of resilience, because she has the tools with what she needs to do in order to mend the relationships that she needs.
Yes.
All other children that don't have access to that, they're not going to be as successful at being resilient.
That's very, very, very well said, Don. You're absolutely right. They need the tools. And listen, they don't need the tools from me, you guys. I'm not here saying, oh, you're going to get the tools from me. They need them from you. They want the tools from their parents. And I've been saying this for over a decade. Your kids don't care about me. They don't care about Don. They don't care about Dr. Childress or the therapist or the judge or the lawyers. They don't care about any of those people. They care about you. They care about you and the other parent. And they want you guys to get your shit together. They want you guys to learn the skills. And if you're
accountable to them,
you're accountable to them. You're the chosen parent. They want you, the chosen parent, learn the skills. Become a ninja parent so that you're the soft place for them to land, that they learn the critical thinking skills, that they learn the work from you, and they'll teach the other parent. They will. The other parent's not going to be perfect. You're not perfect either. But there is this thing called the mirroring neurons, right? And when we're around other people, we start to pick up what they do and what they say and how they feel, right? And if we teach kids, then they will teach the other parent. They will teach other people, and they will improve all of their relationships. And I want to close with this. If you don't fix it now, right? If you don't teach it now, if the kids don't learn the skills from you now, then they're going to repeat the pattern, just like you did, just like I did, just like Dawn did, right? We will repeat our patterns from our own childhood experiences and generations back until somebody stops it, until somebody breaks the cycle. So why not let it be you? Why not you be the one who learns the skills, educates your children, and elevates your family?
Torch.
Yeah, take the torch, end the suffering. So, all right. Well, we got a little off topic, but kind of brought it back full circle. So, Dawn, thank you so much. I'm so glad you were there. You got to pop in, and I was going to do a 15-minute Facebook Live.
Sitting around. I wasn't doing anything. This was fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much. Again, Dawn, thank you. It was lovely to see everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. For the dads, happy Father's Day. If you don't get to see your kids, find some kids to hang out with, not in a weird way. Go hang out with your nieces or your nephews or something, but find time. If you don't have kids to hang out with, find time to spend on yourself. Take care of yourself. You are loved. Your children love you. All you parents out there that don't have contact with your kids, I can tell you that they love you and they miss you. So happy Father's Day to all the dads too. So love you guys. Have a great weekend. All right. Bye, Dawn.
Bye.